All right, I guess if you're not going to fix this, I'll do it myself.
I literally do not care. Enjoy. Hello and welcome to the Warhammer Podcast, episode 144. I'm your host, Brad. This is my co-host, Eric.
I'm a Green Knight now.
And on today's episode, we're going to be doing Christmas wishes that each faction has. This is our third take on this over the last 3 years, and this one I think is going to be pretty different because, well, we know that everyone's getting Christmas presents starting this week. And it all happens after we record this, but some of it comes out before you see this. So, like, we might have very immediate results.
Called it. Or
horribly wrong right away. Nailed it.
Exactly.
So without any further ado, let's jump into this.
Sounds good.
I think this is the first year where factions are actually getting Christmas presents. This is weird. I like it.
Yeah, no, it is cool. And everybody's getting something. It's not just, oh, this one faction's gonna get a codex, and then Space Marines is gonna get a character because they need another lieutenant.
Yeah. So yeah, for anyone who is not aware, we are currently in 2024, and they just announced that every faction is getting a second index detachment or a bonus detachment for their codex, depending if you have a codex or not, which depends if you're one of the liked factions or one of the factions that with functionally a year left in this edition does not have a codex, which is about half of us.
Yeah, it's kind of a problem, but it is nice that they're actually giving an additional detachment to all of these because, yeah, we've been waiting for a while. At least some factions have been waiting for quite a while, and it's getting a bit stale with just the one index detachment.
That's the understatement of the year. So we'll probably throw in general Christmas wishes as well, like we did in the last couple of years of this. But I also want to take some time to play a little guessing game for what the detachment might hold for each faction.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like the big exciting Christmas present because we know it's going to happen. It's not one of those just like, oh, wouldn't it be cool? Like, there's something's going to happen. What is it going to be? We're going to shake the box around and guess.
And based on the structure of this, it sounds like some of them may be out by the time this episode airs, and then we'll see what happens over the course of the month. So, where do we want to start for Christmas wishes, Eric?
Some of the codex ones?
Sure. We'll do Imperium and we'll wander. Let's start with Sisters then. So, I think your initial idea is one of my favorite for Sisters to ask for Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those that with the new... what's it called? Battle Force box?
Battle Force box set.
With the new Battle Force box set...
No, that's all staying in.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I still want a clean tape. With the new Battle Force box set, it kind of showed, at least to me, like the penitent models are just missing stuff. And it would be cool for it to be fleshed out a bunch, but I'm good with just having a character that can lead the mortifiers or penitent engine. That would feel a lot more like it would a fleshed out kind of part to the actual faction.
Yeah, and that's a pretty fair request. Like, it's not like asking for, complete faction refreshes like some of these are going to.
Right. It's a character. Yeah, it's a fancy character because it's going to want to lead mortifiers or penitent engines, but like...
It's also a really fun character that's like untapped potential of like... We've got like Celestine for the whole Living Saint thing. We've got you're more involved for your actual like armies leader. We've got a couple other characters who are named Judith, all that. The book one, I think. The Relic Girl, all that. But it would be cool because this is a part of the army where it's like, what's like a generic character and a named special one for like a someone seeking penance who's got some crazy kill rig hooked up, right? Like,
yeah,
go wild with it.
Oh yeah, there's already a lot of potential with like the mortifiers and penitent engines and like that whole aesthetic. So like you can take that and like really go wild because it's a character. You don't have to worry about like, oh, we're making it too complicated. No, it's like make it complicated, make it cool. Yeah, I mean that's kind of where I was looking at the wish, but do we want to talk about potential detachment ideas?
So Sisters has a codex. It's on the more anemic side when it comes to actual detachment numbers. Like I said, they should all be targeting like 6.
Yeah, they've only got 4.
That said, they do have a lot of the basics covered, so I'd like to see something a little out there. The Penitent stuff is mostly covered. I kind of want to see like a really heavy bolter spam detachment. I know it's probably bad, but like go into Nundums with the heavy bolter they've got on their arm, and like all of the bolter variants who don't get much, because it's like part of the Holy Trinity, but no one really cares because it's like Meltas, cool, Flamers, awesome, and bolters.
Yeah, no, that is true. You said that, and my immediate thought was that exact, like, but we've already got cooler stuff. Why do I care about bolters? But there is something that could be done there, and I think Sisters could work out pretty well with fun bolter kind of spam going on there.
It's weird because they've got some specialty and they've got like really decent generic good stuff detachments. It's hard to say what specifically I want, but some flair, whatever it is. Like, you don't have to hit a perfect home run with this one, just something fun.
Yeah, this is honestly one of those that, yeah, the Codex is a bit anemic. It doesn't have as many detachments as we would like, but they did a pretty good job of hitting the core fundamentals that you would want from the army. But they really don't have that like out of left field detachment where it's like most of the time it's the wrong choice. But we could have some fun with it. And yeah, that would be cool to have a bit of something there.
All right, let's keep going. We'll do a lot of the ones that have codices first. So for Imperium, this is most of them, but Custodes. Yeah, same as last year. I still remember it. Forge World Plastify update. Let's go, please.
I hate to say like it's inevitable because like it is, because if they don't, fucking riot. But this is taking a while, so still a wish. I guess for me it's tough because like we can talk about potential detachment ideas going forward of like, you know, what they're gonna get. I really want them to fix Auric champions as it is though.
Okay, time out. They fixed Auric champions to be much better. What you want is what I kind of wanted, which is like the go crazy version of Auric champions. Like, keep your it only works on characters, but like go nuts.
But like, let's actually make a character focused army where like you have 2 battle line units or maybe even only 1 and the rest are fucking characters. And I understand that like because there are only 4 detachments, that's fucking crazy to have a detachment that's like, it's not a good idea to have that as like a fundamental one.
Reminder, this was the case when the Codex came out.
Yeah.
The Codex is not very well written. The real answer for like more detachments would be safer picks so they have some picks, but the fun stuff is more fun. I think if I were to ask for something for Custodes detachment wise, something bike focused to help the bikes shine because they're in a bad spot.
And that is like a fun part of the army, so I get it.
And personally, the only thing Custodes wise that I've ever been like in awe of is Unleash the Lions. For those who don't know, you could take like 10 Terminators in a unit and use Unleash the Lions, which was a stratagem that would make every one of those Terminators into an individual 1 Terminator unit, and then you would just have everyone run around superheroing all over the place as one-man armies. Unleash the Lions is very cool. It's an incredibly slanted list towards Terminators, and it's just like a fun way to watch something play super unique that is very like what Eric wants with Auric champions and me, but I think this one is less
meme.
Yeah, less meme. It's less possibly enraging when it's like, let's give all the characters superpowers and make them like way beyond what they should be. Because when it's a bunch of 1 model Terminator units running around cowabunging all over the place, like it's annoying, but it's a Terminator model. Like competitively, they're obnoxious, but from a casual standpoint, you've dealt with the Terminators, you understand how this works.
You're up against Custodes. There's a fundamental assumption of like, yeah, they're going to be tough, but like it's still just a tough Terminator. It's not making a bunch of like epic heroes essentially and overwhelming them in just like knight style.
Yeah, exactly. And I think where you have to balance our champions to make it playable will enrage people in the way knights does, which is why I think my Unleash the Lions version is a little safer, because it's so cool. And they've had it for editions now.
Yeah, no, that is a substantially cooler way of doing the same idea, but just in like a safer way, essentially. So yeah, that would make sense.
Just making a detachment where like that is the focal point, is like they're planning for you to do that. Although again, the real answer is probably to do just something safe like a biker detachment. And now you've got some more safe varieties of detachment, because man, Custodes got nothing. It's wild the things that are missing in that very small codex.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is just play the data sheets with a little bit. It's not great, but all right. How about moving into AdMech? like.
AdMech would like a new codex.
Kind of.
Somehow slightly more realistically, AdMech would like more robots. Asking for new models is supposed to be the crazy thing to ask for compared to something easy, but when you already got one codex for an edition, the chances that GW just admits they should have done it again is a lot lower.
I mean, especially given our current time constraints of expectations. Like, I would be irritated if AdMech got another codex before I get, the Grey Knight one.
Can we just get a full digital rewrite, like FAQ the entire codex? Here's the new codex. Just put it up online and be like, we errated the codex from page 1 to 300.
Well, because several of the things in the codex aren't, from a fundamental idea, are not wrong.
Most of them are so wrong in a base level that it's so hard to explain the layers of problems in the codex. You've got people from external factions who look at the Skitarii Marshal and they're like, how the hell is this fair at 45 points? And you're like, because it's required to make the basic units worth enough points. It's built into the army's balance that you have to use it to make your unit not overpriced guardsmen. There's so many layers of problems. The detachments themselves still suck. For AdMech, for a realistic thing for the upcoming detachment, there's so many we could pick because all of the current ones are kind of shit.
Yeah. I
don't mean they're all bad. AdMech has good lists right now.
Yeah.
What I mean is they're all shit because none of them spark joy when you read them.
Or the ones that oh, this would be neat. And then you keep reading and you're like, oh, Cohort Cybernetica just sucks. I get it now.
Okay, the entire treatment of Castellan robots is just...
Because it, from an idea, it sounds cool. And then you keep reading it and you're like, oh.
This could have been an FAQ.
Yeah.
But they didn't get the FAQ because this detachment exists.
Right. So, it is tough. I feel like there could be something fun with actually integrating Imperial Knights. Because, clearly, AdMech isn't getting their second part of the army.
This is where I'm torn. I'm torn between your average AdMech player would feel a lot better getting a normal good detachment. However, if we're going with something more fun and crazy and a little memey, then doing the Knight crossover detachment to be what was it in 9th edition? I forget the name, but there was one in 9th edition where you could play the one Knight or two Knights or whatever in an AdMech list.
It was one of those, you're playing AdMech, so you get to also do stuff with Knights because, that just makes sense.
Yeah, I could definitely go for that, but I feel like the correct answer for them to wish for is a normal detachment.
Something that gives them another option other than just Skitarii Hunter cohort.
Yeah, and it's not just that I want it to be competitive. Ideally, it'd be rewrite one or two of the existing ones and then add one more.
Yeah.
So there are multiple things where you're like, ooh, I want to play blank instead of I want to play none of these. Skitarii Hunter cohort, it is the best of what we have, even though it's joyless.
Yeah, that's about right. Well, because a lot of it is, these are the models I want to play, and no detachment is particularly great and doesn't, excite me. But I guess Skitarii Hunter cohort's the one I'm going to pick because I still have Skitarii infantry. I don't know, man. It's tough. When a codex is this problematic, I'm just worried that they're going to, balance the, fundamentals of this new detachment to be in line with the rest of these.
Yeah, that's the real... We can't make it good because we will break the current balance.
Or it'll be one of those where it's if we make it good, there's literally no reason to take any of these other ones. From just numerical standpoint, it would be dumb to choose anything else, which I think is kind of what you want as well, then fix the other ones, idiots.
That's my thing is do all that and then increase their points another 30 or 40% so that they feel more like elite troops again and not the guard but a couple points.
Fancy guard.
Speaking of, this one's not a codex one, but it sort of is.
Sort of has a codex because it's coming out.
Look, Guard's not really getting a Christmas wish because they opened their Christmas presents live on stream last week.
Yeah. What do we wish for Guard? They fucking got so much already. And things that were good for what they want. Not just oh, you got more of stuff that you already had. More Cadians or something like that. And you'd be I didn't want socks for Christmas. Thank you.
The whole Krieg range is amazing. Getting a codex hopefully is going to be a very beneficial thing, and you get a bonus detachment in addition. I don't think they said how many detachments the codex had, but Guard is usually a lot better treated than other factions in this way, so I'm going to expect you have a decent amount in there in addition.
I think I've seen stuff about just 5.
Okay.
But I mean, that was just seeing stuff in posts randomly kind of thing. Hopefully it's no less than 5, because like Guard deserves better than that.
Do you know what Guard really wants for Christmas?
What?
A memes are canon t-shirt. Buy them now on Orchid 8. Use promo code Shovel Sale for 15% off.
Very well done.
I'm really proud of myself. But for real, if you want a discount on our merch, Shovel Sale gets you 15% off and lasts until December 13th, Friday the 13th, ends all the good times. So if you're a fan of this show and want to get some pretty sweet merch, there you go. If you're from Europe or somewhere and the cost of shipping has always been a pain to you, you could see this as a quote-unquote free shipping through getting a discount.
I mean, kind of, yeah.
It depends how much you buy. If you buy a lot, it's better than free shipping, right? Anyway, sorry for shilling. Let's get back to it. Do we want to do Space Marines?
Yeah, Space Marines.
You're getting more than you deserve for Christmas, and that's impressive. I will say, we're recording this on the 26th, and this morning there was a rumor engine that looks a lot like a Space Marine hover bike, and that's what we wished for Christmas last year.
Potentially Votann, but you're probably right.
There's little details that make me think it's Space Marines and not Votann, but yes, it could be Votann, but like there's just little things of like that thing on the right side looks like it's part of a repulsor hover pad. Just the fact that the housing it's in looks kind of like the top of the repulsor's back housing for its turbine things on the back. Little things making me think that it might be hover bikes.
Which, I mean, that would be a great late Christmas present from last year.
Just keep asking for it until you get it.
Yeah.
Eventually, Dad'll buy you that pony. You're a Space Marine. Dad probably bought you 40 ponies every year. You starved them to death buying new ponies instead of feeding the ones you had.
Oh no.
Feeding the ponies is painting your damn Marines.
So, hilariously, my Christmas wish is to, like, nerf them.
Nerf them?
Like, we're taking stuff away.
I know what you're saying. You're the promised rebalance to try to fix up the internal faction balance, yes.
Yeah, so, like, let's actually lock those chapter-specific characters to where they should be, as opposed to just, like, go wherever and take the best attachment, because why not, I guess?
Eric is specifically talking about successor chapters that get a whole extra codex full of shit.
Yeah, you should be locked into those extra shit. As it were, if you're taking those units. But like, if you don't take those units, you don't have to. Like, we're not doing anything weird with that. It's just thematically, it just makes sense and seems so obvious, and also fixes internal balance problems that it's wild to me. It's not how it always has been, kind of thing.
It's probably a correct rein to pull on. I was a fan of trying to go as few limiting rules for Space Marines as possible, but clearly, currently, it's too many openings for abuse that make them balance around worst case scenarios that are incredibly annoying if you're not abusing them. So a couple things to make it so they can generically boost things, knowing that there's no worst case anymore.
It sucks to have a faction that, like, you're just playing a well-rounded list and, like, your expected win percent is like 40% because they're balancing around. But what if you didn't make a normal list like that and took full advantage of these open options? But I guess let's talk about potential new detachments.
I mean, you can just fill in the blank with whatever suits your fancy. You have so fucking many. You're gonna get like 5 more in addition to the 20 whatever you've got already. I don't care, Space Marines. The one exception I have where I would have a wish is Death Watch, which we'll cover in a moment, with Agents of the Imperium.
Imperial Agents is just a weird codex. Like, the fact that it is a codex is kind of weird. I don't dislike it.
I kind of do.
It seems cool.
No, I kind of fucking hate this, because it's a codex that you have to pay for to access now versus the free index for the one fucking character you want to play that you bought.
Yeah.
Unless you want to play with all of the kill team models ever made, slammed in a list together with no cohesion whatsoever.
Which is kind of neat, but it is weird that It's an entire codex.
The correct part of the codex was giving Deathwatch access to more things so that it felt like a real thing that had an excuse to exist. That wasn't just Space Marines, but they hate aliens more, even though that's like literally Space Marines.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
I liked the spirit of giving Deathwatch more, like bringing more Inquisition stuff into it. The problem was the horrendous execution within the codex. Holy shit, an extra paragraph would have fixed that of, by the way, all of these Deathwatch models, if you're playing the Deathwatch detachment, have the correct keyword to be in the Space Marine stuff, and you can play with all your Space Marines still.
Yeah, you're not locked to 2.
Yeah, you don't have your 2 models you're allowed to fucking play with. Like, holy shit, that's not what I meant for you to do, G-dubs. So yeah, they did announce flat out that yes, Deathwatch is getting their Band-Aid fixed detachment coming that'll make things right so that they don't randomly end up as like 2 models. So that's the real wish, is to fix Deathwatch, and at least it sounds like that's what they're gonna do.
Yeah, but like that also is weird because like one of the, like, there's only 3, right?
You have the character, the kill team, the Corvus Blackstar, and I don't think I'm forgetting anything.
Yeah, the Corvus Blackstar, obviously.
It's so important, Eric. It's a flyer.
It is cool, okay? It's neat, but like gameplay. Kind of a fucking joke. Yeah, the fact that they made a call out that they're doing Deathwatch is good. I do wonder, are they going to do that like in Imperial Agents, or...
They made it sound like Imperial Agents is getting a detachment. Also, Deathwatch is getting their index, is how they worded it.
Okay.
Which I assume is the like, here is Deathwatch as an army, not as part of Imperial Agents where you play as Space Marines.
That's fair, and that's cool. I don't know what they're going to add for an additional detachment in Imperial Agents then.
They could just throw on a, here's how you get Space Marines into your Imperial Agents, and it's like a freebie for them, because now every Space Marine player on the planet has the argument of, well, I kind of like this model, and there's a detachment where I can play my Space Marines with it.
Yeah.
They already had it for Sisters, Grey Knights, Deathwatch, which is a problem, but the rest is all like freebie stuff.
Those ones actually kind of made sense, because like they work with the whole Inquisition thing.
Well, the thing is, everyone in the Imperium works with the Imperial Agents. That's why they're fucking called Imperial Agents, and you can borrow them into every faction.
True, but like the other ones, their like core idea is also very similar, as opposed to just being Space Marine hitting hate alien more.
I do wonder if this is where you throw the Knight Soup detachment.
It would fit. It would be boring.
It's closer to what we did with our Knights as a combat patrol before Imperial Agents got announced.
It would absolutely fit, and it would be neat. It's just, I guess, yeah, like AdMech feels more thematic. Imperial Agents feels like it's easier for the game balance.
Yeah, whatever. With your existence, you have become my least favorite faction. Congratulations, you've been downgraded. So, Imperial Knights, to round off the Imperium. We know you've got a codex coming, and that is a perfectly good wish to have. I still want to see the Cerastus frames properly brought into 40K. Being done with this, will they, won't they? Is it going to stay the only exception for Forge World for forever, or are they just going to quiet kill it next edition? Just be like, Cerastus on the cover, Knights but cooler. This is 40K. Questoris frame, get out of here. Cerastus for life. Hell yeah.
I guess, yeah. That is one thing they could do. I'm not sure it's very likely.
It's like my one wish for Imperial Knights. Like, I want to know that I could recommend people buy a Cerastus Knight and not know that I'm telling them to burn money in front of me.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. It is tough because, like, if you buy one of them and they're, you know, they go away, it's not that terrible because like it's still a very cool display. But yeah, if you're buying it to play, that's a lot of money.
Eric, do you want to spend $300 on a display model?
Me personally, no, I don't play Knights. I am a cheap bastard.
Do you want to do that to have a display model that you can't play in Orks or Grey Knights and just goes up on the shelf to remind you that this exists and could have had rules but doesn't?
I mean, I was gonna buy a Stompa.
You can play a Stompa no matter how much of a meme it is. You know that it's not like truly useless.
Sure. Let's go with that.
It's damn close and has been for several years, but
we'll go with technically it's playable, even though like rules wise it's terrible, and several iterations of terrain for the base made it like actually undeployable. But yeah, no, technically you could play it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Where are you going with this?
On to Chaos.
Yeah. Fuck Grey Knights.
Oh, right. I forget.
And I'm an orc now, boy.
I'm sorry. My favorite Green Knights. How could I have forgotten you? You must have been wearing purple. Do you still just wish for some psychic and hammers?
Yeah, basically.
Okay, welcome to being a Grey Knight in 10th edition. It's going to be the wish until 11th edition starts.
It would also be nice to like, hey, we're gonna like increase the size of your models to get them back on the right scale.
That's the correct wish, I think, because it seems very realistic right now since they're updating everyone's Terminators. This would be the edition where it should be pretty free development-wise, in air quotes, to update Grey Knights.
I would agree.
The question is, after seeing the Sanguinary Guard upgrade,
I'm not sure I want it. I'd rather just be kind of short.
All right, we made Grey Knights, but we took away their helmets, and now they all wear trash cans on their heads.
And none of the data sheets had hammers on it, so we got rid of those as well.
Yeah, we got rid of all that. We got rid of the interesting psychic weapons. Now they all come with a handheld storm bolter and a power sword. Also, we forgot to upgrade Drago.
Oh god, no.
He's still fine cast.
Not like this. He's still fine cast and never has a sword. It's somewhere in the basement, I swear.
I think it got vacuumed up forever ago, man.
Probably. All right, I think that is actually safe to get out of the Imperium.
All right, so Chaos Knights to start Chaos, because we already did Imperial Knights. Cerastus frame? I think it's fair for Chaos Knights, rather than just ask for that, unique frame. I go by it too of like spicy Chaos Knights. Let's get spicy with it.
Yeah, like the Abominant, that's got a pretty good silhouette. You can tell. It's kind of weird. It's not just Knight with spike. It's Knight with tentacles.
And a tail.
But like, let's do that again a bit more. And now we've got like, oh, I can clearly tell that that's a Chaos Knight as opposed to it's an Imperial Knight, but
it's so free too of like, give us the horse-legged one so that it's the Centaur Knight. Give us the spider-legged one so it's creepy as shit. Little things would be enough to be like, oh shit, that's so cool. Especially if it's got like a Cerastus's top.
From a idea standpoint, there's so much that can be done. It's just developing a knight, not just from modeling, but also to actual production. Yeah, I get that takes a little bit of time, but like, you can do it. I believe in you. You've done it before.
It helps so much with making it where it's not a meme of Chaos Knights are different than Imperial Knights, I swear, babe.
Yeah. I mean, other than that, like detachment wise,
I mean, we'll settle for anything. Have you read our detachment?
You don't really have one right now because Battle Shock is a fucking meme.
The only cool part of the detachment was it included Kool-Aid Man, which helps solve one of Knight's problems, but they just made that a core rule for Knights.
Oh, yeah. Which, like, is correct.
It's correct, but it means, like, the one little reason that this detachment wasn't a total fucking turd is a lot less strong.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll take literally anything. Knowing GW, it's going to be a War Dog buffing detachment. I guarantee it.
I mean, yeah. It's also not entirely wrong to do that, though, because, like, then you know, like, okay, we're balancing this faction based on War Dogs because that's how you fucking play it.
Okay, so real talk, I would like to see a very corruption-heavy detachment. Ideally, like, Chaos Knights should have the ability to have, like, detachments that feel like they're dedicated to each of the gods. You should have one that's, like, heavy corruption, one that's, like, rogue knight house but isn't corrupt at all, more like renegades type stuff. Like, ideally, it's very much CSM to Space Marines, except the Knight version. Like, you can easily do the same shticks and it works again. That's like your ideal case. For a first go at it, give us something that's much more like CSM's pact system, like something like to show corruption, to show something that is very different than Knights. So it's not just you're literally playing Imperial Knights, but yours have spikes on them, so you said they're Chaos Knights today. Chaos Knights isn't going to get this level of love. It could and you easily could fill it out and make it that fun.
Yeah. In ninth, they had, what was it, 6 houses?
Yeah, and we had the build a house. And again, it was like it still wasn't ideal, and I still envied IK a lot, but there was a lot of fun in it. And I think one of the things is like, for both nights, you've gotta, with small factions, the smaller the range, the more important loadouts are. Customization of your guys, your character, your custom man, that dude right there, he's my guy. I've got his entire life story memorized. I've written it so fucking cringe, it'll make your eyes roll back and you'll want to never speak to me again. That's what you need when you only have 5 models to choose from. I don't need a backstory for my 15th different foot troop in Space Marines. I just have a lot of options.
And like customizing the list of which units you take is that kind of like backstory, as opposed to I've only got 5 options. I took them all because that's all I had. Now what? What's the difference between mine and anybody else's list?
Exactly.
I do hope that whatever we get with this new detachment is not terrible.
There's a lot of ways to not screw it up. Faith is not at an all-time high, though.
War Dogs, here we come.
War Dog Detachment, here it comes. So, Demons. Here's the thing. Last year, the Demon Christmas Wish we're behind by like 3 to 5 kits per god.
And like, they need to be non-characters.
Yeah, 3 to 5, yeah. 3 to 5 units.
I don't want any more fucking characters. If you do it, fine.
But it has to be a freebie thrown on top.
Right now, we have like twice as many characters as non-characters. That's unacceptable.
So here's my complex problem of like the layers of what I'm wishing for Demons. Still would love those units.
Oh yeah, that's like the baseline. Let's start at that, and then we can work on, what else do you got?
So at the base level, there's been some interesting fear on the AOS end that is not entirely unfounded. So AOS lost some factions to Old World eating them because, again, we've had this memo from GW that leaked forever ago from upper management that was basically saying no model can exist in 2 games. Demons exists in 2.5 games.
It makes a lot of sense and actually is the correct decision to do from a business aspect as far as I'm concerned.
From an IP standpoint,
it links things together.
Yeah, it's your glue that glues all your IPs together in your metaverse. It's it's the Brandon Sanderson Cosmosphere, whatever it's called.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. But it's one of those where it's like, okay, it's an entire world building that like, I was in this one game. That other game is pretty different, but there's this huge overlap section that's all very similar and feels safe for like, oh my god, it's a new game. I don't know if I want to learn all that right now. Well, don't worry. You can just be content with Demons. They're going to play a lot like what you know.
And that's the like core wish of like, please, sir, don't pull the trigger.
Yeah. It's funny that like the Christmas list is please don't do it.
Demons is on like 2 sides of this of like, yeah, split us into, like the different god books and then have your special Bellacore soup it up demon stuff. We would love the ideal world where Chaos gets like 5 whole books to tell you different ways you can put demons and normal, not demon mortals, that's the word, mortals, put them in various amounts into a detachment and all that. We'd love that. And as a spicy thing, I found out after the fact because I didn't watch the real live stream. Apparently they mentioned we're getting a detachment for every single god.
Did not know that either. I had heard some like stuff, some posts on it, but I guess I just missed it when I watched the thing. It would make sense. Like that feels right.
So like, we have high hopes there. It's just there's that like nervous undercurrent where it's like, please don't do the incredibly stupid thing. Do the really fun stuff instead. There's a fork in the road. It's that one meme with like the sunny rainbow on one side and the dark storm on the other. And it's like sunny rainbow direction. We get 5 books, multiple detachments in every book. Crazy cool future ahead of us. And then the stormy dark path that says Harlequins.
Yeah.
So moving into CSM. I don't know what CSM wants right now. I mean, Chaos Bikers getting updated would be like an easy one, right?
It would be pretty easy to do, especially if there's already potential for for Space Marines to get their bike upgraded. All right, let's put some spikes on it. Now it's chaos, right?
Yeah. We do one of those like end of edition Space Marines haven't had something in a while, do it again. You can have Space Marine bikers versus Chaos Space Marine bikers redo. Chaos Space Marine bikes can like have some creepiness to them and like the demons inhabiting the bike type stuff. Little flair.
But from a detachment aspect, they have their codex, and they've got a bunch of detachments. I think is it 8 or technically 9 with Emperor's Children?
Emperor's Children doesn't really count.
It doesn't really count.
I feel like you could go as deep into CSM detachments as you have Space Marine detachments. There's another 10 good CSM detachments you can do. The question is, what do you do for just one?
I assume it's just something that's more focused on demon.
Yeah, we haven't had like the true Word Bearers detachment equivalent. Technically, the Index detachment was the Word Bearers equivalent when we got to the full codex, but you could say that's more like a generic corruption heavy Chaos Space Marine rather than like the more renegade feel of like the Red Corsairs equivalent. So you could go into like a more demon focused soupy one and have that be the Word Bearer stand-in.
I feel like that is an open hole that exists that I think people generally would enjoy having as an option.
Yeah, the only other one would be like give Biles detachment.
Oh yeah.
Because he had one in 9th that was holy whatever. The point is you could do one around Bile, and that would help cement people who still wonder if Bile is an Emperor's Children character, and it's like, no, not in 9,000 and something years.
Sure, that's what they just want you to think. He's playing the long game.
No, Bile has a whole trilogy of books explaining why he is not an Emperor's Children character. Anyway.
Which of the 4 do we want to move into? I'm assuming not Emperor's Children.
No. So everybody wants a codex out of Death Guard, Thousand Suns, World Eaters, Emperor's Children. Emperor's Children just wants to see their range. World Eaters wants to see the second half of their range.
Including the stuff that was taken away.
World Eaters is complicated and it was not a very good launch. Hopefully they learned from it. Emperor's Children will be a better launch and World Eaters will get fixes.
I fully expect Emperor's Children to be like World Eaters launch.
I know.
I hope I'm wrong, but
we can hope.
This is the Christmas wish. I wish it's better than World Eaters launch. What a fucking low bar.
So, Thousand Suns.
Yeah, well, I guess we can start with Thousand Suns.
The problem is with like all of my factions, I have like very complex thoughts as opposed to like an easy, here's a good wish.
You just want to get big, right? And lose all your wings and stuff. Just rip all of the chaos trim off.
Honestly, don't tempt me. 30k Thousand Suns still look great and have like 90% less trim. Don't tempt me. Yeah, really more than anything, I want our codex to fix Cabal points. I'm on the record with like a very long rant on them that I will not repeat on this episode. Please fix up how Cabal points work. As a mechanic, it is horrendously flawed and causes internal problems that are unsolvable while it exists in its current state. What I just asked for is not to get rid of our psychic abilities. Do not take it that way. Do not dare Grey Knight me.
Monkey Paw's gonna curl, bro.
Please don't turn me into Tzeentch Demons where I can only cast Gun. And our holdover extra detachment. To me, one of the big things would be to not lose key parts that the Cult of Magic detachment gives us to prove that we'll have variety and we won't be stuck playing our index detachment the whole edition because it's the one that has Umberlufic Crystal, has scrolls, has like the key important powerful things that you're never going to want to miss out on, even if something else is cooler. We need to make sure we get Space Marined, where like you always get Armor of Contempt, you always get something important, whatever. Like certain things need to exist over multiple detachments.
Right, and they could be done in different ways. Like, Umberlific Crystal is an enhancement. They could add it as, like, you know, part of the detachment rule or a stratagem or something like that. Same effect, essentially, but different.
Yeah, you could do Cult of Duplicity, which is the traditional teleport one from 9th, and there it's just a strat you can spam, or it's part of the detachment's rule. Then you go to another one and it's a repeat of the enhancement.
They could absolutely do, you know, Cult of Duplicity style of like, hey, let's make sure that some of these are wrapped in there. But what about Zongor? Do you ever think about them, Brad? The poor Zongors?
I'm 100% not against it. You can go Cult of Mutation and go Zongor heavy. But I better get all the fucking cults if we're doing this. All right? There's 9 of these things.
That's it. Fucking ambitious. You should be happy to get 5.
I'll be happy when I have a second one at this point.
I feel like the obvious pick is a Zongor one.
I know you're right, but also fuck you. It's like... I like Zongor. I honestly do. But you are going to literally run the meme into the ground if you make a Zongor detachment as our second detachment after we've been begging for variety. That is the ultimate GW does not understand their own game. Don't do it. It's not going to be funny.
I think it'll be funny. I think it'll be just an absolute laugh. As someone who isn't a Thousand Suns player and who has absolutely kind of given up on my Grey Knight magic stuff. But let's move on. Let's talk about Death Guard.
What does Death Guard want, Eric?
I mean, they could use some more vehicles. It's more like bigger Plague Burst crawlers out there.
I know what you mean, but it's hilarious thinking of how many unique Death Guard vehicles exist, and you're like, they could use more vehicles. How many do World Eaters and Thousand Suns have together? They're all CSM. So anyway, I'm not against Death Guard getting more vehicles. It can definitely be their faction identity of big tanks that are gross.
It just kind of like goes well with Terminator.
Yeah, the big fat bulk aesthetic that they've got throughout the whole range. Of like, obviously they're also the ones with big tanks and stuff. For the holdover detachment though.
Because like they've done updates to the index and it's playable.
Something. My problem is the index updates was like that very first rev and they put all of the rules onto the detachment. Because like that's going to be the problem when we get the updated detachment for Death Guard in December. You have to remember half of their rules got slapped into their detachment rule, not their army rule, that are currently keeping them alive.
And that is honestly one of the big things of like why it feels like they just need a codex, because the army rule currently is not. It just isn't.
But for their actual detachment, I think my go-to would be something to accent their vehicles and their big slow fat asses. Something tanky. A Healy type detachment. Stay alive longer detachment.
Yeah, the real grind.
And while I love the idea of Death Guard being the debuff army and just making you feel like your stuff doesn't do anything it's supposed to do, it's a very fun way for the disease factor thing for Death Guard to go. I do think the alternative of being ultra tanky to go back to the more classic Death Guard is probably what people will want out of a second detachment.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think a lot of players want that old feeling of
feel no pains and vulnerability, gaining back lost wounds. The more Papa's blessings, the less cursing your foes with their plagues.
But, dude, that army rule, this new detachment is going to have to be like 18 paragraphs or just redesign the army rule at the same time.
And they were in full sales pitch mode with these new detachments, but the critic in me, who is always so humble and doesn't come out often, immediately has to ask the question of, how are these detachments supposed to be balanced for when your index sucks balls, but your codex is supposed to fix you? Then your patch detachment is either going to still suck until you get the codex, or is going to be broken as shit when your codex comes out.
Or they're just going to take it away when the codex comes out. Like, that is a possibility.
If you already had a codex, yours stays. If you didn't have one yet, this is just to patch you until your codex comes out, and then you can have one maybe later, though the edition will probably end 3 minutes after you get your codex.
It sounds absolutely ridiculous, but seems possible. Especially for the ones that are coming out, like, soon. If they didn't have this plan in action before, and like the print run is like, oh, we're already shipping it off to print, didn't have that detachment in it, we go by the codex. Kind of thing. All right, moving on to World Eaters, who obviously just want the rest of the range.
Yeah, we already kind of covered World Eaters, to be honest. They are so on needs not just a codex, but a core fix to what they have access to right now. Like, when we get to Votann, spoilers, same deal. Same as they were last year, half an army.
And yeah, nothing has really changed.
So, let's just move into Xenos now. Aeldar. Like Guard, opened their Christmas present on stream last week. It's hard to ask for more. Dear Lord, those are some beautiful Eldar models.
Yeah, no, very, very cool. A bunch of like old shit updated and got shiny. So we know with their codex, they're going to have 8 detachments.
Yes, one of which will be Harlequins, one of which will be Ynnari, 6 of which will be the core types of craft worlds. Which we should do a subfaction episode for Eldar one day and focus on the different types of craft worlds in the lore and all that. It's very cool.
I think they did one call out of like a general all-rounder, which I'm assuming is going to be like kind of based on the index one, then some specialized ones, which 8 is pretty good.
It sounds better before you remember this is 3 armies in a trench coat.
Yeah.
So like they're obviously going to have Votann, Illidan, the blue and yellow ones who are sick, who are wraiths. It'll be those 2. It'll be the generic one.
There's an aspect warrior one.
Yeah, actually, now that you say that.
Because like that was the whole focus.
Yeah, but when you say that, I'm wondering if we're going to have multiple aspect warrior ones.
That would be reasonable. Probably 2 of them or something like that. That'd be kind of neat.
It's dicey because you're going to end up with the monolith detachment from Necrons, where it's like, hey, this buffs this one unit and this one named character. So maybe keeping it to just generic 1 aspect warrior detachment.
I mean, given that there's 8 of them, it's okay to have...
There's not 8 of them, though. You have to remember, 1 is reserved for Ynnari. 1 is reserved for Harlequins. You've got 6 left. 1 is your index. You've got 5 left. 1 is Votann running around on bikes screaming. 1 is going to be your Wraith one. You've got 3 to choose from. 1 is Aspect Warriors. We've got 2 left.
Yeah.
The problem is, it sounds like more to you remember it's 3 armies in a trench coat. I would love to see multiple Harlequin ones. I would be very happy if one of the revealed, what's it called, an advent calendar?
Oh, Grotmas?
Yeah, the Grotmas, whatever.
Yeah, I think it's an advent calendar. Each day you get something kind of thing.
Yeah, Warhammer's like the thing that made me aware this is a thing that apparently is super common in Europe. I don't know.
Oh yeah, we used to do that as a kid, my family.
Did you?
Yeah, my great-grandma made one, knitted it. It's a whole thing.
We just got beat. That punchline didn't land at all.
I mean, what are you supposed to say to that?
Just fucking at least some laughter, Jesus.
It was it's too real. No, but yeah, I think that there should be a decent amount for like the actual codex, but what that means for the additional detachment that we're gonna get. I know you're saying like we were guaranteed 1 Harlequin from the reveal thing. All right, there should be 2 because there's light and dark Sadith or whatever it's called.
Yeah, and that's without getting into like in 8th edition there were 5 of the things. In 9th edition there were 3 of them. So it's like, yeah, at least give us light and dark, the 2 easy ones of give us Soaring Spite and Frozen Stars, the ones everyone remembers.
So that would make sense to be the detachment that they're gonna get.
Yeah, because then you end up with 6 for Eldar, 2 for Harlequins, 1 for the Ynnari Soup one.
Which seems reasonable. Obviously, it would be better if those other parts of the army were fleshed out and had their own codex or something like that. But Harlequins was almost fucking dead. So I think it makes sense to have the extra detachment be the secondary Harlequin one. You get your codex. Things are looking pretty good so long as the codex itself isn't trash.
All right, so Drukhari. Drukhari's eating pretty good after we got our emergency, just kidding, your index was terrible, here's a new one.
True.
We're doing all right. I think the refresh of the range that's getting quite old is a reasonable ask for a Christmas present. My guess is still that they're going to be the 11th edition Little Brother army, and that's when we'll get our refresh. But this is just me guessing, looking at what needs updates and how they tend to use starter boxes.
My expectation, because you've kind of already planted the seed of 11th edition, they're going to be the Little Brother army, and I think that's great. Like, it makes sense to me. Is I think it would make sense to release a couple new models for Drukhari and then do a full range refresh with a couple more new models kind of thing, of like sprinkle 1 or 2 models for this edition and then do a full refresh with some extra additional new ones, because they need more. It's not just a refresh that they need.
Yeah, it's a little anemic when you get into the 2 even Cabalite. If you technically take away blades, Cabalites is literally just Cabalites because technically everything else is a blade.
Your 3 separate parts to this army have like 2 non-character battle line options.
I really think Drukhari could go full Necron, refresh expansion, big bad of the edition, and like, because Drukhari is mustache twirling villains, they make excellent newbie villains.
Oh, absolutely. Similar to the whole Tyranid of...
You can go ham. Well, we've got like Skaven level, amazing, like you can just go crazy and deepen them so much and just recur them over and over with all the insanity.
Yeah.
Skaven gave a lot of legs AOS wise as like generic bad guy that like by fleshing it out, you can always pull him out of the back pocket for forever. Drukhari could be that for 40k.
I don't think they're quite on the same level just because like...
Skaven are cool, I know.
Skaven have the like kind of orc vibe to them at the same time of like, yeah, they're terrifying, but they're also kind of funny because they blow themselves up. Whereas Drukhari are just like fully fucking evil. But I agree, they're definitely a great villain to bring up and have as like the back pocket. I'm not sure what we're gonna do on this one. Make the Drukhari the enemy. Job done.
We've done a Genestealer Cult the last 15 books. We gotta do something else.
Hey, Drukhari's gotten a couple new ones lately, so
it's true. I have to read Lilith's book.
So for like the detachment wish.
So detachment wise, all right, here's where I'm going to be greedy.
Okay, I'm fascinated to hear which one you're going to go with. Because like right now they've got the everybody comes together and we work together kind of nonsense that you hate.
But what would you call our second detachment?
I'm not sure.
I will call it the boat detachment.
Okay. No, that's fair.
But that's what our second one already is. So for this third one that we're getting, the boat one is so mobility based that I kind of want to lean into Covens. And I know everyone's going to be like, Brad, Covens is your favorite. Of course you pick Covens, you bastard. But like the other two work so well with the boat detachment. I'd like to see the counterplay of going heavy into Covens with this detachment. I know that every one of the three prongs deserves at least one detachment, possibly more, and we can wait for our codex, that's fine, but I'm just saying, I think it would accent the boat detachment very well.
Okay, yeah, I can get behind that.
Now, I don't know if GW wants to put any limelight on the grotesques you currently can't buy that are fine cast and bought as ones but played as threes. Again, I think Covens may be in the closet until we get to the full range refresh.
They're kind of a problem at the moment.
But that said, like, we have the best kit in the army with the Talos Kronos kit. But anyway, that would be my sales pitch for one. There's several you could try. The problem is a lot of the more exotic ones I can think up rely on terrible fine cast kits that you definitely don't want to be pressuring people to go out and try to obtain as GW, because to be honest, it's easier to get recast than actual GW product of some of these, and it will be of higher quality. So GW probably doesn't want you knowing that.
That's fair, yeah.
So my actual thoughts on this is we'll probably just get a generic witch one.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was like, it's just going to end up being a generic witch one.
And they'll be like, this is Lilith's detachment. She just got a book. Look at her feet.
Kind of works, given that they just put a book for Lilith. Like, you could make a Lilith-focused detachment. It's just tough because, like, you've got the boats. Okay, let's get, like, a boots-on-ground kind of thing.
That is Covens. We're the tanky part of the army. The only one that will comfortably be out of a boat and not shot off the board in 2 seconds. Anyway, Tyranids.
I mean, they just got a bunch of stuff. So, like, they've got their codex, they got new stuff, they got refresh. It's been good for them.
Honestly, okay, hear me out. The real answer is all they really need right now is an actual Timmy Big Monster detachment, which is perfectly solved with the Advent calendar.
Just like accept Crusher as a fucking, like, it tried, we failed, ignore it, it exists, but we're gonna ignore it and make a new one.
Yeah, what Crusher should have been. Just make that detachment, call it Crusherer Stampede. And we're done. Ship it. And the last couple balance passes have helped a lot with the Codex's original internal balance issues and some external ones, but Crusher Stampede would be my go-to.
We'll see.
Genestealers would like to join AdMech on the second codex for the edition waiting list.
There isn't any clean way to fix its current iteration beyond a codex level change.
I just love the idea that somewhere in Britain, the dumbest boardroom of all time got together and said, look at this famously expensive army. Wouldn't it be funny if we made it more expensive by making everything in the army worse but cost less points? This would be a funny gag. And then they did it twice in one fucking edition.
Yeah, I was like, and then they twirled their mustache and went, "It worked. Let's make money."
Do it again.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to remember what Bricky was going to have his fix for Cult Ambush be.
We all had Cult Ambush changes in mind, but it's like...
No, but like, do they make a detachment that is Cult Ambush but better?
No, don't do that, because you need to fix the core problems with the army. You do not want it detachment locked, because then you go from the 4 detachments we currently have to 1. And yes, I know it's 5, but it's 4. The real answer is fix the balance, add Mech-It, but then for your bonus detachment, you just do probably just a funny one. Like, we've got the Guard Soup one, you do the Tyranid Soup one.
Yeah.
I kind of hate recommending that over, like, something good, but I feel like that's the actual answer is, like, the real wish is balance fixes, and then the detachment wish is just give us something extra fun on the side, but fix our balance first of all.
Yeah, a Tyranid Soup would be kind of fun. Could work.
And from GW standpoint, that one makes sense when you fix Crusher Stampede as Tyranid's detachment, and then you make the Genestealer detachment bait to get the Tyranid player who just started and built up a Tyranid army to go, I've already got half of what I would need for that detachment. I might as well get into one of the most expensive armies in the game, lol. But alright, Votann, real quick, same as last year, same as World Eaters, finish the faction.
Yeah. What were they? The Jaegers? Very cool.
They're a great one-off. They're the troop equivalent of your Pioneers, who are your bike guys. We need to keep fleshing, keep getting more stuff.
I mean, we just need more. I'm excited to see what they do with their vehicles just because, like, I think they're cool. But yes, more.
Like, I'm in the middle of the Votann book right now, and while they haven't been, like, listing off, here's the thing that doesn't have a data sheet yet, talking about their technology and stuff, I feel like it's so easy for them to, like, whip up ideas. Like, I could just rattle off some ideas of, like, hey, they're talking about cloning and vats and all that. Clearly, we need our biologist equivalent, our mad scientist character to act as that, to be our medic equivalent / anti-medic equivalent, you know?
A bunch of other factions that are looking at getting more stuff are like, we're good on characters. Votann they still have holes for characters to fill.
Yeah. And then plenty of room for unit expansion. Go wild.
Yeah. Detachment-wise, just get a codex and finish stuff up. Like,
there's too much to ask for with Votann, where it's like, yeah, what do you want for the detachment? I guess a bike one? ?
That's probably what's going on, because like it has to compete with Grudge or Judgment or whatever it's called.
I don't know. The detachment is less important to me than Votann's real wish. Necrons.
What is your wish for Necrons?
And Nightbringer have a new model. And Banana Man.
Yeah, I was like, if you're going to ask for one of the Catan, ask for both of them at the same time. Come on.
Sometimes I forget Banana Man. And while we're there, the generic where you don't have to, if you want an official one, like, obviously just 3D print it. But the generic Transcendent Catan, get it a standalone kit at a reasonable price range that looks nice.
Tech W on that one. Ask for a bit much on the make it reasonable priced.
Get me those 3, so I'm not spending an arm and a leg and putting together an obelisk to throw in the trash. Get me those 3 models as options in plastic. Make them as good as, Void Dragon looks. And we'll be banging, man. That's great.
I really would like to see another battle line unit. I don't even know what I want. I just want something. Make it different.
A more canoptic one to bridge the gap between where Wraiths are and where Scarabs are.
Would just be kind of neat.
Again, Canoptics is like Canoptics are insectoid. They do not have real functioning brains. They are literally just construction equipment, but like alien tech level construction equipment that can just tear you apart and atomize you. So like you can get weird with a troop level Canoptic.
Exactly. Give me a battle line, but like make it weird. This is Necrons. They've got actually truly alien technology. Make it kind of weird. But let's talk about the detachment.
Okay, hear me out. I'm gonna get shot by anyone who's played against Necrons recently. I want a Catan detachment.
All right, fuck off. Yeah. No, I get it. It's cool. It would be very cool.
I want a Catan detachment, damn it. Catan are so cool and fun and crazy, and like playing a bunch of them in a list feels so nutty and like fun, but like I'm aware that they're either dog shit or annoy the piss out of your opponent, and it's very hard to balance any point between those two.
And that's the thing, is like you could get that detachment. Just know that all of the units would increase by 150 points.
I'm kind of okay with that.
Right, like it would be one of those, this is kind of a meme detachment because it's point costed to ruin every other possible iteration of using those units.
Yeah, for a less meme answer, my real answer would be give us a destroyer detachment that is not trash.
I was like, don't we have one?
We have the destroyer detachment.
We've got Annihilation.
Annihilation Legion is the worst thing ever written. It doesn't work with more than half of the destroyer units.
Ah, all right, yeah. That's fair.
It was the most brain dead. Someone remembered Scorpex word destroyer, wrote a destroyer detachment, and forgot the rest.
Scorpex are the reason we're here, though, right?
Anyway, let's go into what you're totally not now. Let's talk about orcs.
All right, yeah. Obviously, new models would be fun, but we have a pretty good range. There's a few things that could be updated, but they're working on it. So I don't know of anything that's jumping out to me at the moment of like, holy shit, we gotta update this.
It's crazy that like from a detachment standpoint, though, there's still like 5 that we could rattle off immediately. That would just be great additions.
Yeah, and like the ones that we have are pretty reasonable, at least like from a core idea.
Yeah, they have good ideas in them. Actual balance aside, all of them are really solid. My major thing for orcs right now is like they could get a whole second codex full of detachments and have infinite fun for forever.
Oh yeah.
They're living life.
Absolutely. And like it's not even that hard to like think of a bunch of them, just like looking back at other codexes and being like, I want that as well. But really, they're missing their DACA detachment.
Yeah, that's the one I knew you were going to pick, and you're absolutely right. An infantry equivalent one. I know you could technically make a vehicle one out of the pushing the button, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, Dread Mob. Yeah, like all of them have options to do more DACA and whatever, but like...
The real answer is, yeah, you want a Bad Moons flavored shooting detachment where you want to play your Flash Gits, you want to play your Ludas, you want to play Shoota Boys.
Yeah, and like it's such an obvious hole that they don't really need to do anything fancy with either, right?
Like detachment rule, DACA, DACA, DACA.
Basically, yeah.
It fucking writes itself. How did you get through the whole Orc Codex without writing that?
And that's the thing. It
used to be half their army rule. You took it out and forgot to put it anywhere. When it's like the thing people remember about orcs is them shouting DACA.
It's a big part, yeah. And it's just such an obvious oversight that like it's the Christmas wish. But if they don't do it, I'm gonna be pretty fucking irritated, honestly. Like I'm sitting good as an orc.
This is my wife softball pitching the Christmas wish in front of me, basically opening up Amazon, handing me her phone and being like, I would really like...
Yeah, basically. Just push the buy button and you've figured out how to make Christmas gift.
If you fuck this up, the couch is waiting.
Yeah, it feels intentional, right? But yeah, I'm expecting that, honestly, and pretty excited. Is that it?
No, we've got Tau.
Right.
So yeah, Tau, Christmas-wise, ignoring the detachment, crisis suit update, question mark?
Yeah.
It'd be nice.
That would be kind of neat.
I'm really looking for Tau right now. The crude update was very nice. Vespid's getting updated through Kill Team was a nice little thing. I could go for another range expansion of entirely non-Tau stuff to covenant them up a bit.
Because like Tau is like a bunch of different all together kind of hanging on type coalition thing.
It could be fun to do the, what's it called, like Wavesa or whatever they call humans. The human unit, the whatever they call Votann, the Dwergmer or whatever, do that unit, but have them in Tau kit, have them clearly part of the Tau army, but show that Tau is the multicultural, multi-species, everyone is here Smash Bros. And then you can have next edition, you're fleshing out the detachment that is more bring something of everything and get a big boost.
Right, the Drukhari version of everybody's happy together, but it actually makes sense.
A, it makes more sense. But B, don't write it so limited and terrible. Like, the Drukhari one could have been written in a way where it wouldn't have felt like dog shit and would have just been eye-rolling, not right. But, like, the Tau one could be perfect. I could see you going that route with it all, or just get weird with it. Like, you've never stolen from anyone before, GW. We all know. But if you were to steal from other games regularly... and the Tau are a thinly veiled covenant, you could look at the Hunters, like the coolest shit in Halo. You could borrow ideas from there.
Honestly, there is a lot of options. I really do like your original one there of like, let's flesh out, even if it's not like a bunch of different new units for each of the like humans and other, whatever you call them, Dwarger or whatever.
Yeah, they all have names in Tau, and I can't remember them off the top of my head, but it's like the human one, the dwarf one, But
like, even if it's not multiple units for each of those, even just having a unit or two, and then doing that a couple times throughout the release, eventually you'll get enough that it's like, oh, it makes sense to do a full detachment style sub-faction, whatever you're going to call it in 11th or 12th edition, and like, it would make sense, and it would put the lore of like a coalition standing together in the game.
It also helps build Tau up a bit. If you're into more lore stuff, Tau is like a non-faction, speaking from like a galactic standpoint. They're like so much lower in risk factor versus everybody else. They're like the fucking child waiting to get hit during the street fight.
Yeah, they're just kind of like in their own little spot, just hanging on of like, we're gonna fight because like I need to do something, but like please actually ignore me. Don't focus.
Building up Tau as like, you know how chaos feels like the threat of the one direction of what the Emperor was afraid of? Building up Tau is like the Xenos threat of they're going to absorb everything into a big blob of happy friendship, and that is disgusting to humanity in 40K.
And like you'll lose humanity just in the blob.
Yeah, how dare they be accepting and not xenophobic? This disgusts the Emperor.
Yeah, right. And that would be kind of funny in like from a meta level of like the grim dark, the evil Xenos is taking over the universe happily.
I mean, yeah, the one Horus Heresy quote, the like, blessed is the mind too small for critical thought and stuff, and like oh no, I almost felt sympathy for these Xenos scum. Luckily, I just shot them in the face instead.
Like, there's so much to do with that, and that does open up the range, because like Tau is not anemic, but they're very focused. Like, you've got your battle suits and you've got crew, and you got a couple other things with like the gunships and stuff, but like,
I feel like saying Tau is focused is wrong. I feel like, and this is cruel, I feel like Tau is just asymmetric in how interesting it is, to where you've got Gundams in a faction with other shit, and it's like, but I could play the Gundams?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah.
As much as I would love 15 more different types of Gundam suits, and I will not say no to that.
Which I definitely think that there's room for like a unique leader for those.
Or, you know, some melee oriented ones for Farsight to be leading around, and so that Tau isn't a fucking meme lord on the tabletop. You know how AdMech is a shooting army, but it has melee units still because it's not a dumbass?
And like, you can still fully embrace the meme and give them a katana.
Yeah, absolutely, give them katanas. Give them energy katanas.
You're like, stop being a meme. I'm like, be a meme further and better.
I'm not saying no to any of that, but like, work on spicing up the non-battle suit part of the army too, so that like we remember them.
Mm-hmm. And like, I do think that fleshing out into other parts could do that. It's just, it would be tough. So
I also just feel like it would be very rewarding.
Oh yeah, absolutely. From a long-term aspect, like the initial 1 or 2 could be like, sure, whatever.
But Tau feels like that untapped potential in 40K of like the faction that had so much potential, but it launched during the Grimderp era of like fucking 2001. How dare there be anything but the stupidest, dumbest fucks in this game? And then they bounced Tau around not knowing what to do for 20 years. And it's like, okay, we're past the Grimderp era. Gilliman is back. Lion is not a man-child anymore. We're too like, things can happen and have nuance now. Tau has a lot of like space to be something. They won't be garbage. Like Votann is doing a pretty good job in their little first foray here. I'm not done with this book, but like of feeling like something interesting. And I'm like, I want to feel this for Tau. And I want to feel like, man, all of these different species throughout the galaxy are also interesting and feel equally fleshed out and not like a background NPC in a fucking video game.
And that's the thing that really gets me is there's so much potential nuance of the internal politics for having this like multi-species coalition just hanging on against these massive threats.
See how well done just Necron politics and the courtroom scene is in just Infinite Divine, and how much depth that makes Necrons feel in a single scene in a single book.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of potential for Tau.
For an extremely homogenous faction.
Yeah.
And then you've got Tau with all that complexity. Like, there is so much potential sitting there.
From a detachment style, they've got their codex and like...
They don't have nearly enough detachments.
They have 4 detachments.
The detachments in this codex are an embarrassment.
There's a certain point where it's like literally anything.
Okay, there's several I could riddle off, but like, honestly, I wouldn't even be mad if it was just Tau tanks.
I think that's what it is.
They don't even get fucking mentioned in the codex. Like, we could do a tank detachment. I wouldn't be mad about that, as like we at least remembered they're a part of this faction. They're not my favorite part by any means, or most people's, but like at least now for the people who are fans of Tau tanks, there's your Tau tank detachment.
We don't have to get fancy. It'll be okay.
Tau and Custodes are the two where I look at them and I'm like, you didn't want to make this.
It feels like they forgot to print half the book. You just stopped printing. Where's the rest of it?
Half the book is the book is 8 fucking pages.
Well, there's art.
So yeah, that's the last faction though out of the way. Overall, this was definitely weirder than the last couple of these. I assume when we come back next year for the annual one of these, it will be back to the normal layout. We'll be on the cusp of 11th edition, so it'll be...
It entirely depends on how 11th edition is looking.
If we went all of 2025 and only 4 factions got a codex, maybe next year looks strange. But if everyone has their codex by next year, we're at end of edition, we're looking to wrap up in 6 months, then Christmas wishes are going to be spicy. But I think this was an interesting one, especially because like it's fun to call shots for these upcoming detachments, or at least, you know, even if it's not a true shot, like a wish for it. And then we can see when we come back in January what actually happened.
Yeah.
But for now, as a final extra fun bit of info for those of you who are sticking around through what is a very long episode compared to the last couple of these, the current plan is we've got report cards coming up, serial coming up as your episode Christmas week, and we finalized that there's a secret huge project episode that I'm very excited for you all to see coming very soon here before Christmas, so you can think of it as a Christmas present for you from us.
Yeah, it should be interesting. We'll see.
Eric is hesitant as he is a victim of this amazing episode.
It feels like it quite a bit.
We'll be recording that later this week when you hear this, but I don't think it's next week's episode. Maybe it is, but it's probably the week after.
And before we actually wrap up, don't forget we've got that sale going on, shovel sale, 15% off. We got all the merch. It's great merch. Buy it while it's cheap.
And also, since we're shilling already, please do the YouTube pleasantries if you stuck around this long while we rambled and guessed on detachments. And we also have a Patreon you could join. It's at patreon.com/SullySingleton, where you can join great patrons like Kev Be Well.
Don't forget the space period.
Is that really part of the name?
It is part of
the name.
I
thought that was you screwing up.
No. I took a while to figure that out as well, because like it wasn't copying over quite right. Like the formatting was all fucked up, and I was like, what's happening here? I'm assuming it was like some type of mistake in the input, but
Kev be well space dot. All right, but with that out of the way, we're out of here. Enjoy your week, everybody. I hope everyone is having a great beginning of their holiday season.
yeah, Thanksgiving dinner was great, I'm sure. Don't be the weird uncle.